I'm Mark James. Welcome to the Scouting Report here on BGTV. The focus this week is the Beech Grove Girls High School basketball team. Believe it or not, it's time for Hoosier Hysteria, the greatest, despite of what you might think of the single class or the multi-class. I still think that boys and girls basketball at the high school level in the state of Indiana, it's still the greatest tournament anywhere in the country. The ladies are up first, sectional action already underway, and of course it culminates this week in the sectional championships at sites all over the state on Saturday. We'll, of course, move on to the regional and semi-state rounds and then play the state championship at the Holman Center in front of that brand newly christened Larry Bird statue. That, of course, Holman Center there in Terre Haute, Indiana. We're happy to have with us. He's in his first season as girls' head basketball coach. No stranger to the program, though.
No.
We want to welcome Mark Parker. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that you don't do all that preparation to go 6-12.
Right.
But off of a one-win season a year ago, 6-12, your kids have played awfully well at times this season.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, they have. They've worked hard. Started back in the spring when I first got the varsity job and took over the program. Got them in the spring, this summer, coming in 4 days a week, open gyms, playing in leagues. Going to team camp over at the University of Cincinnati, they put in the time and the effort, and it showed, and it's really paid off for us this year. I think, like you said, our 6-12 record doesn't indicate how much we've improved.
Some pretty big conference wins this year.
Yeah, we ended up, I think, one conference win last year, ended up 3-4 in the conference this year, and had a couple more that I thought we probably should have won, and in the future I think we will. So things are looking up for us, they really are.
Matt English and I have talked about this in the past. Mark Weller and I have talked about this in the past. When you're coming off a year in which you win one basketball game, explain what I might mean, and I think you know, about what it takes to learn how to win. That's a struggle.
It is a struggle, and that's probably the hardest thing I've had to deal with this year is convincing these girls that they should be winning. And I think us, like I said, working over the summer, we got a few wins in our league games over the summer, and away at team camp we got a few wins, so I think they started to realize, and getting a couple wins early in the season I think really helped us out also, because last year we went till the last second game to the end of the season before we won a game, so it's tough. And I mean, these girls, for being down that long, I think they've really bounced back pretty well from it.
Was there at any point in the summer, maybe in one of those summer league games, where you maybe looked at your staff, or maybe you thought to yourself, you know what, we're going to be okay this year? Yeah,
I did. I think it was when we were over for 3 days at the University of Cincinnati, and we had some tough competition from some pretty good teams that we haven't faced before. And we played some teams that were a bit bigger than us, physical, probably quicker than we were. But our girls responded well, and I recall that we lost our first game, and I think we lost our first 2 games over there. And that evening we came back to play our 3rd game of the day, and we responded, came out. Our girls looked great with our defensive press, and came out and won the game by about 25 against a pretty good team. So I thought right there, you know what? And I preached to them after that, you know, if you guys play this hard all the time, we're going to be okay. Right. And I think that's kind of when it clicked with them that, hey, maybe we're not that bad.
So much of success involves chemistry, and it involves things that take place off of the floor, in the locker room, things of that nature. I think those are some of the benefits, the intangibles, if you will, of taking a group of kids out of town to a place like Cincinnati for a couple of days, because you learn a lot about one another off the floor in that situation.
Yeah, you really do. I'm a huge believer in the summer, getting the kids, you know, away from where they feel comfortable, getting them out of their element. And we're going to do the same thing this summer. We got a couple of trips planned this year out of town, so for this next summer also. But yeah, getting them away, and we did a lot of team bonding stuff when each night we did a couple different exercises, doing team bonding, getting to know each other, them getting to know me, but most of them know me,
sure,
you know, for the most part, just from basketball, but from a personal side of my life and stuff like that. I think the team really grew over those 3 days.
Now, in addition to continuity, it's also very, very important to have leadership. I have a sneaking suspicion that when it comes to defining leadership from this point forward in your career as a head basketball coach, you're going to point to the 3 seniors that you've had this year. Introduce them to folks that may not know them.
First of all, we had Taylor Peavy, our point guard. She's a 3-year starter on the varsity. And second, we had Shannon Newworth, one of our bench players. And third is Kayla Kaiser, who transferred here from Monrovia last year. Really came on last year, I thought, at the end of the season. Fought through some injuries and played a little better last year toward the end of the year. And then this year, she has been our leading scorer and leading rebounder on the team. And as a first-year coach, I told these kids I couldn't have taken over a better situation of walking in where I had that kind of leadership with those 3 seniors, because they do everything I ask of them. They set, great examples for the younger kids. When there's, any type of issues, they usually get it handled before it ever gets to me. So being a first-year coach, it was kind of nice. And luckily for me, I had those 3 girls, because it probably would have been a lot harder for me than if it was a different set of kids. But I just hope our younger kids realize and see what those kids are doing and follow by their example. So.
Well, if patience is a virtue, if this was a goal of yours, I think you're the walk and talk and live and breathing definition of it. Your association with this program, girls basketball at Beech Grove, goes all the way back to 1993. I mean, that's a long time to be involved in one program. So you were what, 7 or 8 years old when you started coaching?
4. No. And now you're making me feel old, Coach. Yeah, I spent 20 years as an assistant, everywhere from my first year as a volunteer high school assistant to 7th and 8th grade, freshman JV, varsity assistant. And this year, my 21st year, I took over the program. So the girls, I'm accustomed with the kids around Beech Grove. The kids were accustomed with me. I think it was an easy fit for us, and it was a pretty easy transition.
What has surprised you? Anything or everything?
Well, I don't know that, not everything. I guess being the varsity coach, there's a lot more administrative things that have to be done, and you know that from being a varsity coach. Used to, you just come in and you just coached. Now you come in and it's, besides the coaching part in practice, there's a lot of administrative stuff that has to get done. Nominating kids for this or that, and filling out scholarship forms, and preparing scouting for every game, watching game film. You get home 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you're up for the next 2 hours watching game film, scouting for your next opponent. Right. So, and I really enjoy it, I do. But that was probably the biggest change for me this year.
Yeah, I talked to Beech Grove grad Mick Ressler, who's the head football coach at Brebeuf.
Right.
Mick, of course, was the offensive coordinator for years at Cathedral.
Yeah.
And Mick went to the 3A title game this year, and I had a chance to visit with him before that ball game, and I said, do you feel like that you were in a position to prepare your kids for this championship week? He said, no, quite the contrary. He said, because as coordinator, all I had to do was coach. He said, I never realized how much Rick Strife did in terms of stuff that has nothing to do with the X's and O's, and that's certainly the case being a head coach on any level.
It definitely is. Yeah, I mean, even for being an assistant for 20 years, I never realized how much more there was to do than just coming in and coaching.
Yeah.
So
the level of conversation with moms and dads are a lot different too when you're an assistant as opposed to.
It is, yeah, yeah. You're kind of the final guy, so yeah. You're the one that has to have all the answers. So, but I have a real good working relationship with most of my kids' parents. Over the years, gotten to know them pretty well, being a Beech Grove kid myself and growing up here. So, it's been. That's probably been the biggest change, but I think I've adjusted pretty well to it. So
any coach will tell you that not only does he have to have good players in order to be successful, he has to have good staff around him, people that he trusts, people that are willing to buy in to what he or she's willing to do. Give a little credit to your assistant coaches.
That's most definite. I hired the only holdover from last year was Sharnita Thomas. She's our freshman coach. Done a real good job for us. Works down at the Hornet and Richmond Academy. I hired a new junior varsity coach this year. Emily Ringham was a member of the 2003 state championships team, a starting guard on that team. Great kid, hard worker. I say kid. That was 11 years ago, I guess, was the state championship. But she spent about 7 years over at our middle school program helping out, and I really thought she worked well with the younger kids, and I wanted to get her moved up to be up here with me. And she's done a great job. I think the JV ended up their season at 13-6 or 13-7, so they had a pretty good year for us.
Sure.
And Kristen Raker, my new varsity assistant this year, first-year teacher, kindergarten teacher over at Hornet Park. The name may sound familiar to some of the Beach Grove people. Her dad, Gary Raker, was an all-star here.
Oh, yeah.
In the basketball team back in the day. So, but Kristen has done a great job. All three of those ladies have done a great job for me. But and Kristen was also a 4-year player in college, so she knows the game very well, and she has really stepped up for me and helped me out at the varsity level. And she does a great job with the kids. They relate well with her. I mean, she's of course graduated from college, but she's not that much older than some of my seniors, so she relates well with them and has really taken a role of anytime there's any type of problems or issues with the kids, getting everything settled so we don't have any problems, no drama, so we like that.
Most important member of your staff, a pretty good basketball player in her own right here once upon a time. She has a few basketballs and trophies out there in the case. Your wife, Amy. Yeah, I know, in order to be successful as a coach, in order to have any longevity at all, you got to have somebody supportive at home, and boy, she is that and then some. She
is. Doesn't miss any of our games. Well, she didn't until her season came about. Amy was a assistant here for the last 4 years, and varsity assistant, and this year took over our 8th grade program for me. And of course, she's now a teacher over at the middle school, so it works out a lot better. But we have a pretty good class over there coming in, and I wanted somebody with some experience. And after a few talks, we agreed upon that she would take that spot. So I'm lucky to have her over there, and she is a huge supporter, and of course comes from a great basketball family.
No question.
So I mean, she has so much knowledge of playing in college and setting records here, like you said. Holds the school record still for 51 points in a game. That's pretty amazing. So, and my 7th grade coach, first-year coach for us, Nick Perica, doing a great job.
He knows a little something about winning, doesn't he?
He does. He sure does.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to get him in there at the 7th grade level. But he's doing a great job with those kids. I've been watching them play, and they're just improving every day. So, and the kids really have responded both to down at the middle school level for Amy and Nick both. So, and I know, being a head coach and being here for so long, if you don't have a good feeder system, you're going to be in trouble. So
we'll expand upon that feeder system in a moment. In case your wife's watching, we don't want to leave out the most important member of your family, one of the newest Beach Grove Hornets, your son.
That's right. Yeah, anybody that comes to the games or has been around has probably seen Jackson quite a bit.
You probably held him if you've been to a basketball game at Beach Grove.
That's true. I think about everybody, every resident of Beach Grove so far, every sports fan has held him at either a football game, basketball game, or volleyball game at some point. So yeah, Jackson, he's getting ready to turn 7 months, and he loves being in the gym, which is amazing. He'll cry at home, fight and sleep, but if he's at the gym, he's happy as can be. So I'm happy about that because he's going to spend plenty of hours in the gym over the next few years. So
I don't think people fully understand the sacrifice that you make when you have, especially a young family like yours, and the time you have to spend away from them. But that said, on those days when things don't go particularly well at the gym, be it in a game or in a practice, isn't it nice to have him at home when you walk through the door because it all goes away pretty quickly?
It does, and like I said, she brings him to all my games, and after the game, whether I hate losing as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be coaching if you like to lose, I don't think. But even after a tough loss, she'll bring him over, and holding that kid just, it puts things in perspective for you a little bit. So. Yeah, anytime I get to see him when I'm in a bad mood or had a long day, it just cheers me up right then.
And we all see him in plenty of black and orange, so that's a good thing.
He has tons of black and orange, has a couple Lady Hornet shirts already, some basketball shirts, and I'm sure he's going to grow up with wearing plenty of black and orange over the years.
We talked a little bit about the middle school program. We touched upon your freshman, your JV, and varsity. One of the things that has impressed me in my short time here at Beach Grove is the connection that we make with our youth league programs here.
Right.
That's pure and simple the foundation of your program.
It is, and that's probably one of my biggest things that I'm trying to jump on early in my career here as a head coach, because kind of when I took over, our feeder program wasn't in the shape that I wanted it to be in.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer had a youth league here, a booster basketball program, which I plan on the fall, and hopefully we're going to start that back up, getting the kids in, getting them started at a young age. And we do have, I have put in place, and things we've had over the years, the IGHL leagues. We play with the younger kids. This year we had the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade playing in that. We have the 7th and 8th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade school teams. And I spend a lot of time over at their practices and over at their games trying to help out as much as I can. And talking with those coaches, getting our systems put in that we're using here at the high school, the basic stuff that we want taught and the fundamentals that we want taught. So when they get up to our high school level, they're ready to go. So, and I know as a being around for so long, if you don't have a good feeder program, you probably won't be the head coach very long. So
coaching in your hometown can sometimes be difficult, because the relationship is, let's face it, it's different than it is with someone who comes to the there are a fair amount of people involved in your program that knew Mark Parker even before he started coaching.
That's true.
And so that relationship's going to be a little different, and maybe from time to time they may take some liberties in that regard. That's the negative side of it, and that's the delicate balance that you have to strike in making sure that they understand. You know, if you see them out in the store, in a restaurant or whatever, they could talk to you like Mark Parker then, but if they're talking about their daughter, they have to deal with you on the level of the basketball coach. Take that to another step. In putting that youth league program together, your familiarity here allows you to make sure that you know who's in charge of your program and who can and can't do things the right way.
Right. That is a big plus for me, I think. I haven't really seen any negative side of growing up here in the Grove and knowing a bunch of the parents. I have parents of my kids now that I went to high school with, you know, and starting to get younger kids who girls I've coached before in the past. So I haven't seen a negative side of it. The positive side, you're exactly right. Knowing being around the Grove for so long, knowing the people in the Grove, having the right people in my feeder system to make sure we get where we want to be. And you know, and choosing coaches, choosing people to help run the league, things like that. I think it's a huge benefit for me from being a Grover. So,
how much can you or do you use that state championship team in terms of trying to get a message across to your kids that we can do things like that here at Beech Grove?
Since I've taken over the program last summer, I have brought that up many times. I know after we won it and we had other coaches in here, you know, it's a part of somebody else and they didn't want to be a part of that. I was here for that and was lucky enough to be a varsity assistant on that team. So I got to see how special that was, and I got to see how those kids worked to get to that point. You know, a lot of people, funny thing is a coach after that, they're like, well, you had the best player in the state, you should have won. I said, well, we had the best player in Katie Gerald's in the state for 4 years in a row, and that was the first sectional game we won was our senior year. We were unfortunate to be in a sectional with Cathedral our first 2 years. We won the state championship back-to-back. But those kids, they worked their tails off in the summer between their junior and senior year when Katie was a senior, and all those young kids we had on that team. It wasn't just about having the best player in the state. It was about having the best team in the state. And I think regardless of class basketball, I'm a little prejudiced, but I think we had the best team in the state that year. So I appreciate these kids. They didn't get there just by having one good player. They got there by being a family and having a team around them. All those kids worked hard. They were in here at 6 a.m. in the mornings in the fall, you know, every day. In the summer, they were in open gym, working hard, playing in leagues, things like that. So I have taken them out, showed them the trophy, showed them video, showed them pictures, you know, spoke about it, had Coach Ringham speak about it as one of my assistants from being there at a player standpoint. So I think they're starting to get it, and I think hopefully not too far future we'll be there again.
Well, that's a nice segue. Let's go right into the postseason tournament, which we are in the midst of. You're part of the Danville sectional. That underway last night. We're taping this on a Wednesday. A bit of an upset to start sectional play with Greencastle knocking off the host Danville Warriors 48-42. That sets up Friday night's matchup. You take on Tri-West, Indian Creek, Greencastle in the other bracket, the championship set for Saturday night. What do we know about the Tri-West Bruins, a team you did not face during the regular season?
No, we did not. I've been fortunate over the years, them being in our sectional, see them play several times. I've seen them play 4 times this year. So I think we're going to be pretty well prepared. I know every time Brad Acton, the Tri-West coach, puts a team on the floor, they're going to play hard.
He's been there a while.
He has, and he does a great job with those kids. They're down from what they've been in the years past. I think they still won 12, 13 games this year. But they don't have the one star player, the one big scorer like they've had in the past. But they're going to come out and they're going to trap us in the half court. They're probably going to press us a little bit. His kids are very disciplined. You know, they've been in that system for a while. Like you said, he's been there for a while, so he's got things in place. We're going to have a battle on Friday night. So it's a pretty tight sectional this year with all the teams. And like you said, Greencastle beating Danville, they both had about the same records. I thought Danville at home, you know, probably had the advantage, but it just shows right there. It just, whoever's night it is, whoever's playing the hardest is going to come out on top. So
yeah, that's the message you have to send. I mean, you can't go into, especially with this bunch, you can't go in worried about Greencastle, Danville, Indian Creek, any of those teams.
Right.
You just had to focus on Tri-West.
Yeah, we're taking one game at a time. We haven't won a sectional for 11 years. We only won 2 in the girls' history. So we're not looking past anybody, that's for sure. We've been preparing for since last Friday. We've been preparing every single day for Tri-West. We haven't even talked about any of the other teams and what they do. 2 of those teams we've been lucky enough to play already, and but you never know. It may be Greencastle we're facing Friday or Saturday night. So 2
things you want to be. You want to be healthy, and you want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season. You close out the season with a big win, 56-43 over Cecina. Those 2 things I mentioned, can you check those off of your list in preparation for Friday?
I definitely think we can. We've, over the past probably 3 or 4 weeks, we did have a bad shooting game against the Lutheran Saints last week and a half ago. But, you know, outside of bad shooting, we played pretty well in that game, I thought. Our Cecina game, we played, I think, one of the best games we've played the entire year. So I think we're hitting our peak at the right time, and I told the girls that. I said, you know, if we play like we played against Cecina, we'll be fine on Friday night. We came out after shooting the ball 21% against Lutheran. We came out and shot the ball just over 40% from the field against Cecina last week on senior night. So as long as we shoot the ball fairly well, we'll be okay Friday night. Health-wise, everybody's doing real well right now. We have Emma Looney, who's rehabbing from a ankle sprain, but I think she's going to be okay. All of our starters on the varsity level, we're good to go. So it's been a good year for us as far as injuries go. We haven't had too many, knock on wood, we haven't had too many injuries. So
is there, you think, and you know, I don't want you to get the crystal ball out or anything, but do you think that it's going to be possible, based upon the year that they had a year ago with the struggles, everything you went through during the summer, and then the season you put together this year, have you ever been associated with a bunch that you want to see win a sectional championship more than this one?
No, I haven't. Because these kids, they've kind of got to me a little bit. They caught me right there, got me in the heart. So, I mean, they work harder than any team that I've been associated with, and just the level of intensity they play at night in, night out. You know, come to practice, they do what's asked of them. It's been the bunch has really been very coachable. So, I think, and I told them, there's been times when I know going to the sectional we probably don't have much of a chance. But this year is so much different. It's such a wide open field for us, and I told them, I said, if you come out and play as hard as you can, everything's going to work itself out, and we're going to be cutting down those nets on Saturday.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that were awfully happy when you got this job. And,
I appreciate that.
And again, looking at your history here, not only as a student growing up here in Beech Grove, you earned this opportunity, and I think at least this year, you've certainly shown the folks that made that decision they certainly did not make a mistake. We're very happy for you.
No, I appreciate that very much. Those are very kind words.
Good luck. luck. Let's bring the big trophy home, huh?
That's our plan.
That's right. That's Mark Parker. He's the girls' head basketball coach here at Beech Grove High School. We wish them all the best of luck, and who knows, maybe next week we could probably set it up right now. We'll have Coach Parker back in here in the studio, and we'll be talking about their opponent in the regional. I'm Mark James, the Beech Grove Scouting Report here on BGTV. So long for now.